When BMO Field opened in Toronto in 2007, it was a modest 20,000-seat soccer stadium built primarily for one purpose: bringing Major League Soccer to Canada. Fast forward to today, and BMO Field is preparing to host the biggest sporting event on the planet, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. But how did a relatively simple soccer-specific stadium evolve into a multi-purpose venue capable of welcoming tens of thousands of fans from around the world? This is the transformation of BMO Field. To understand BMO Field, we need to go back before its construction. For decades, this location at Exhibition Place in Toronto was occupied by Exhibition Stadium, home to the Toronto Blue Jays and Toronto Argonauts. When the Sky Dome opened in 1989, both teams eventually moved out, leaving Exhibition Stadium obsolete. It was demolished in 1999, creating a vacant site in one of Toronto's most recognizable sports districts. Throughout the early 2000s, several proposals emerged to build a new stadium in Toronto. Some involved renovating existing venues, while others proposed completely new stadiums at different locations across the city. But it wasn't until the Canadian Soccer Association won the right to host the 2007 FIFA U20 World Cup that momentum truly began to build. A new soccer stadium was needed. Construction officially moved forward in 2005. The project was a partnership involving the Canadian Soccer Association, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, the City of Toronto, and both provincial and federal governments. The stadium cost approximately 63 million Canadian dollars to build. The result was a 25,000-seat soccer-specific stadium. At the time, Major League Soccer was eager to expand into Canada, and on May 11, 2006, Toronto FC was officially announced as MLS's first Canadian club. BMO Field would become its home. When the stadium opened in 2007, it featured a FIFA standard playing surface, steep grandstands designed to keep fans close to the action, and a distinctly European football atmosphere. However, there was one controversial decision. The pitch used artificial field turf instead of natural grass. While practical in Toronto's climate, it was heavily criticized by players and fans alike. The first major transformation came just a few years later. In 2010, after growing pressure from players and supporters, BMO Field switched from artificial turf to natural grass. The project included a state-of-the-art drainage system and underground heating infrastructure to help maintain the field through Canada's challenging weather conditions. MLSE paid the entire cost of the conversion. At the same time, additional seating was added to increase capacity. The move was widely praised and significantly improved the stadium's reputation across international soccer. But an even larger transformation was on the horizon. By 2013, BMO Field was becoming too small for Toronto FC's ambitions. Crowds were growing, major events were arriving, and there was increasing pressure to make the stadium capable of hosting Canadian football. A massive redevelopment project was announced. The renovation occurred between 2014 and 2016 and completely changed the stadium. The most visible addition was a new upper deck on the east side, dramatically increasing seating capacity. A large roof structure was also added over most permanent seating areas, improving the matchday experience and giving BMO Field a more modern appearance. But perhaps the biggest challenge involved the playing field itself. To accommodate the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League, the field had to be lengthened. Engineers redesigned large sections of the stadium to allow both soccer and Canadian football to coexist. New retractable seating sections were installed, allowing the stadium configuration to change depending on the event. The renovation ultimately cost around 150 million Canadian dollars. When completed, BMO Field had been transformed from a modest soccer venue into a true multi-purpose stadium. The upgrades quickly paid off. In 2015, the venue hosted Rugby Sevens during the Pan American Games. In 2016, the Toronto Argonauts officially moved into the stadium. That same year, BMO Field hosted the Grey Cup, Canada's biggest football event. Then came one of the most memorable moments in the stadium's history: Toronto FC's rise to MLS dominance. The stadium hosted consecutive MLS Cup finals in 2016 and 2017. The 2017 final became historic as Toronto FC defeated Seattle Sounders to win their first MLS Cup and complete a domestic treble. The venue would become one of North America's premier soccer stadiums. But the transformation wasn't finished. In June 2022, Toronto was officially selected as one of the host cities for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. For BMO Field, this represented the ultimate validation of nearly 2 decades of development. Yet, FIFA's requirements demanded even more upgrades. A new renovation program was launched. The project included upgraded team facilities, new LED video boards, improved sound systems, enhanced hospitality spaces, and a rooftop patio and lounge. Most importantly, the stadium would receive a temporary expansion that increased capacity to approximately 45,000 spectators during the tournament. The upgrades were completed across the 2024-25 and 2025-26 seasons. The final cost reached nearly 158 million Canadian dollars. During the World Cup, FIFA regulations require the removal of corporate naming rights, meaning BMO Field will temporarily become Toronto Stadium. The venue is scheduled to host 6 World Cup matches, including Canada's opening game against Bosnia and Herzegovina on June 12, 2026. From the ashes of Exhibition Stadium to a FIFA World Cup venue, the story of BMO Field is a story of ambition, adaptation, and continuous transformation. And when the world arrives in Toronto for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, BMO Field's biggest chapter will finally begin. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.